Okay, guys, so I had every intention to this month, while I was sewing my So Frugal makes, to film it as I went along. Well, I made 3 things out of my 5 this month, which I'm pretty happy with, right? Um, and am I sewed the first 2, and I was like kind of worried to like film it because I didn't want to like mess up, because sometimes it's like added pressure and you're like, well, I've never done this, like I want to like kind of do it and like have my head in the game. And so I didn't film anything of the first 2 makes. And they came out so good, guys. Like, I'm about to show you, but they came out, both of them, so good. I'm so happy with them. And so for my third make, I was like, I'm gonna film the whole thing. I'm gonna do like the whole thing. I'm gonna film it. So I started filming it, and immediately I started to not have a fun time. So these are my makes, and I'm going to share them with you. Also, hello, I'm Valerie, and this is my channel, What Valerie Makes, and I'm so glad that you joined me today, and I'm happy to be sharing all of my So Frugal makes for the month of March. And so yeah, let's get into it. All right, now, before I get into it, I am wearing my Friday Pattern Company sagebrush top. Now, I don't wear this often, but I've been trying to wear it more. I really like the color of the fabric, and I think I'm just in my I don't like puff sleeve era on me. But I will say that this is my partner Jordan's favorite shirt on me. Every time I wear it, Jordan's like, that looks great on you. That looks so good. So I'm just trying to embrace it, trying to wear it more. And I love this color on me, so I'm like, let's wear it. So that's what I'm wearing, Friday Pattern Company sagebrush top. I did take some volume out of the sleeves on this, but other than that, made a size medium. Here it is. And I'm pretty, like it fits comfortably. I just wasn't sure about the puff sleeves, and since, can you see? Oh, you can. So I had this hanging up, and you can see how the hanger, so that's from the hanger, guys, and I just didn't press it down or anything, but I think it was funny. I'm like, I look like a linebacker. So yeah, but I really like this color on me, and that is all I have to say about that. As a whole, I'm very happy with all 3 of these makes. I think that they all came out, like the finished product came out great. And so I'm really excited to share my first one with you. Guys, and if you did not watch my So Frugal video that I posted on the first, this was like on the top of my list. I wanted to recreate this anthropology hoodie that I had been seeing. And I was like, this would be a great like scrap busting project, because it was like a quilted sleeve, and I'm like, I knew I had a bunch of like jersey scraps that I could like make that with, and I went in with like, I think I can do this. Now, let me tell you about what I did. And so I did use the Glory Allen regular hoodie. Obviously, it's a free sewing pattern, but what it is not is a raglan sleeved hoodie. And the anthropology hoodie is. So I was toying with the idea. I'm like, does it even matter? Like, I don't want to like I don't necessarily need to copy it, like copy the Anthropologie hoodie, but I just kind of wanted to go with the same vibe. But I was like, I really like how the patchwork sleeve like went all the way up. So I was like, maybe can I make this into a raglan hoodie? And so what I did do is I just went on my favorite app to search for anything, YouTube, and just said turning a regular sleeve into a raglan sleeve. And I came across the Pattern Studio 101, and she has a video tutorial on how to take a sewing pattern with a regular sleeve and convert it into a raglan sleeve. So I followed it with the Regular Hoodie by Glory Allen. And I mean, it was a little bit like, you did have to pay, like, obviously you have to pay attention, but like you had to really, like, okay, I would pause it and then do the math, and then I would play it, and then I'd pause it and I would do the math, and then I would draw it out. And like, as long as you have like if you have the dedication and the patience for it, then you will be totally fine. So I followed that. I will say that the Glory Allen hoodie pattern does have a side panel, which ended up throwing off my math. Just because the math was meant for just like one side seam, but this hoodie pattern has a side panel. So my underarm ended up being wrong. So what I did have to do is I just made like basically an underarm gusset at the end. Like when I ended up sewing the seams together, I'm like, why is this incorrect? Like this is like creating a weird tucking situation. And so I was like, oh, it's because I didn't calculate the math for the side panel, and I only did like the front and the back piece. So it was really easy just to create this like underarm gusset. Hopefully you can see this a little bit. Yeah, I created this underarm gusset, which is just like this triangle piece that like fit in pretty well. And it worked. It fits really great. And so I really like, I don't think I've been, maybe since the coat that I made, but I am so happy with how this came out. Like I had such a lovely, besides that one little mishap where I'm like, why didn't this come out? Like, why is this weird? But other than that one part, I had such a lovely time like constructing this. There was a lot of things that I did for the first time. Turn a regular sleeved pattern into a raglan sleeve pattern. Check. I have never actually sewn a raglan sleeve top before. And so I was like, oh, great. And then also the best part, and like one of the better parts about the Glory Allen regular hoodie is that they have a tutorial on YouTube as well on how to sew it. So basically you get the pattern, the PDF pattern for free, or if you want a paper pattern, you can buy it. And then the instructions are the video. And that is, if you, and that's just how I prefer to like sew, is to follow along with a video. So all of that was great. I had a really fun time like figuring out the pattern of these sleeves. I went downstairs, used my kitchen island to put all these pieces on top of my sleeve. Now, the thing that I did switch up was I was going to like quilt these sleeves, and my thought process was to like actually quilt them. So have like the patchwork pieces, batting, and then another layer of fabric. I hesitated with that for a couple reasons. One being, I didn't want it to end up being like the sleeves being too bulky. So I didn't want it to be like quilted and the rest wasn't, because that's not really how the vibe of the Anthropologie sweatshirt was to begin with. And also the other point, was that I used this very cozy, like, fleece back sweatshirting. So the inside of this hoodie has like the cozy sweatshirting fleece in the back, on the wrong side. So it is so cozy. It's so warm. And I really wanted that in the sleeves. So I felt like if I used this fabric and put like you know what I mean? It just like, I felt like it would be too much. And so what I ended up doing is just, instead of quilting it, I just did like a patchwork, because the jersey pieces that I use don't fray. So that's right there. That's great. And so I just basically used a zigzag stitch to put these pattern pieces together. And it worked great. I used my walking foot on my sewing machine. And I also I do have some fabric glue that I just used to make sure that these pieces like stayed in place as I was moving them around. I do like to use, I started to pin it, and I just don't really like to use pins. Like, I will if I have to, but it's not like my favorite thing. I'm always just like stabbing myself all the time. And I have fabric glue, and I just need a little dot, and it like stayed in place fine. So, yep, I used some fabric glue to hold them in place. Used a zigzag stitch to put them down on the fabric, and that's it. And I'm just so chuffed by how this came out. This is my very first hoodie pattern, so I really enjoyed doing that. I put in my made by me label. I made the size large because I wanted it to be like a pretty cozy sweatshirt. So I made the size large, and everything came out really great. So I'm very happy with this make. It came out looking just like how I thought it would. And I really like the way that the texture, when I'm wearing it, like you can feel like the different fabrics. So I have a little like textured sleeve moment when I'm wearing it, and it's very like cozy and comfortable. But I can't express to you enough how happy I am with this make. And I can see me 100% like doing more of these. I have a whole cubby of fabric, sweatshirting fabric, that I'm like, I can make more of these. I can make more of these. And I think that I'm definitely going to. But if you're interested in seeing like the process of how I do this, please let me know. Yeah, let me know down in the comments below. And next time that I make it, I'll pick up my camera. I was a little bit nervous about doing it the first time. And I was like, I can't be nervous while I'm trying to recreate this sweatshirt that I really want. But for my second one, who knows? If you're interested, let me know. So for the second thing that I managed to make, I did this basically draft it yourself little corset top. And this is by Sparrow Refashion. And if you go on to their website, they have many options of like draft it yourself corset like tops and dresses. It's really great. Like, I'm so happy with how that like it came out, and it was pretty straightforward to follow along with. So I do recommend that. But I had like the the smallest amount of fabric left for this. So what I did do is I used the big panel for the body, and then the small panel of like the red I used for the straps. And it came out so good. So this could be reversible, but because I knew that I wouldn't want this against my skin, I wasn't concerning myself with that. I did at the end end up doing a few things differently, and I'll talk you through that a little bit. But basically, you cut out the panels. So there's like a middle panel, a side panel, and then the back panel, and then like the back side panel. So you end up having like 4 pieces per side. The best thing too is like it's so customizable. Like if you want a different neckline, you can do it. If you want a different back closure, you can do it. Like I really I like that, because sometimes personally, as someone who like really likes to follow instructions, I feel tied down to some of that stuff instead of like sometimes trusting my intuition on things. But this really was like open, like gave you the freedom to like do what you wanted to do. So I was really trying to actually recreate the Anthropologie look. And so I adjusted the neckline. And then I also added these eyelets and fed this like ribbon through the eyelets in the front. I think that adds like a really cool touch. And what else did I did end up making channels for like I use like the plastic boning from Wall Whack. And so I made a channel so that the front like lays pretty flat, like the front V lays pretty flat. And then I also ended up adding that same like plastic boning to the back just to reinforce the loops and the tie closures, because I was finding that when I didn't add that, it was kind of scrunching up at the back here. And so as soon as I added that, it ended up being fine. The one thing that I was concerned with was the straps. Sometimes I like the adjustability, and with this fabric being so thick, I didn't want to make like ties because I don't like that look when it's like a thick, I don't want it to like stand up. So I was considering doing like buttons and buttonholes and making like maybe 2 or 3 different buttonholes to like tighten it or loosen it. But then I can still do that because I finished off the edges so that I would be able to do that if I wanted to. But I ended up just putting it on and then like sewing the sides together where I wanted it. And then if I ever want to change that in the future, such an easy, just unpick this seam right here and then do it. So I ended up opting out of doing that. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. And highly recommend following the tutorial. And there's so many things you can do. Like there's dresses you can make from it. There's like, you can add like puff sleeves to it. You can add endless amounts of possibilities. So go ahead and take a look if you're at all interested in this style of top. But yeah, and that is my second make. All right, now this is where I decided to pick up my camera, right? I'm like, okay, I've got 2 makes down. I'm filming the next one. Like, I'm gonna do it. So this is the Mood, what's it, Flora? Yes, the Flora Top by Mood Sewciety. And in general, this is a great pattern. Like, honestly, it's a great pattern. So I was like, yeah, okay, I feel confident. This is gonna be great. Let me pick up my camera now. Got 2 makes down. I feel good. Like all of it went well. Let me film this. So I did. And let me tell you, everything that could go wrong while making this pattern went wrong. Oh. Hi. She's on. press that. Oh my God. No. Already messed up. Even though I said I'm doing French seams and I need to do wrong sides together first. Did I? No, I didn't. So now I gotta unpick that. And I already trimmed it too, so it's gonna be really fun trying to sew that. Okay, I'm gonna unpick it now.
Welcome to the Stitch Festival vlog. This is one of my absolute favourite times of year. The Stitch Festival is a big sewing event in London at the Business Design Centre in Islington, and it's this huge show full of lots of sewing and crafting based activities.
Hi. I made this. Kind of.
She made that somehow. I truly don't get it.
I'll tell you something. All the problems. But
It's coming along. You got some string, some bat wings.
it's actually really pretty. I actually like the way that it looks a lot. It's very staticky, but I think with, like, it feels really nice. It's going to be really pretty for the summer, I think. I somehow
agree.
got to make these armholes bigger. And that's what I'm working on now. Let me tell you, it came out, like, the end result I really like. And actually, I think that it's really such a pretty top. And I plan on making another one of these, actually, to go along with the Sew April Blouse Challenge. I think that I can redeem myself because I have some thoughts and I have some fabric in my stash that would be perfect for this top with some alterations to the pattern, and let me get into it. So the first thing that went wrong with this, again, look how pretty, even on camera, look how nice this looks. It's so pretty. This fabric is beautiful. It's light. It's airy. It's everything that I thought it would be. The outcome. Love it. It's so good, right? And I just love. Okay. So the first thing, like, they want you to do French seams on the inside. I love a French seam. Let's do it. So I did the French seams on the sides, put them together. Okay. And then they want you to attach the sleeve. Did I do a French seam to attach the sleeve? No, I didn't. So I had to pick the whole sleeve off of because you start from the top and you go all the way around. Had to unpick that whole thing. And that was also after I trimmed it. So I was about to trim it and flip it inside out to do the French seam. And I go, that's not correct. So then I had to go in and, like, an even smaller seam allowance. So right there I was like, okay, that's not great. That was my first mistake. And I fixed it. Okay, great. Fixed it. Perfect. And then I wanted to, when I was attaching the top yoke to the sleeve, to the bottom sleeve, I wanted to do a French seam because I knew that I wasn't using a different fabric. Now, in the instructions, they want you to do it a different way because there are two different fabrics for the top yoke and then for the bottom part. So I get it, but I was like, I don't want to do that. But then I put it together and I was like, the armholes were so small. Like, I put it together and before I trimmed it, and before I went to flip it over to do the French seam, I tried it on to see how it would fit, because basically all that was left was like the button placket and the collar. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so quick. I tried it on and the sleeve was so tight. And like the sleeve hole, like at the bottom, was so tight. And I'm like, if I French seam these seams, it's going to be even tighter. So I'm like, okay, I think this is as tight as this is my mistake from the very beginning. I shouldn't have went on to the next step, or I should have right there fixed the problem before I completely basically finished it without fixing the problem, thinking that it would be fine. But it wasn't fine, y'all. I'm like, oh, I'll just put like a bias binding over the top because this is where the raw seam was showing, because I was going to flip it inside out and do the French seam. And I was like, I can't do that because it will take more fabric away from the sleeve hole. And so I'm like, I'll put this like bias binding over the top as like a decorative feature. And so I did. And it looks nice. There's nothing wrong with it. But then I tried it on after I did that, and the sleeve hole still very tight, because why wouldn't it be? And I was like, okay, well, I'll put the button placket on. And so I put the button placket on, and they don't really have you interface the button plackets. So I knew that I needed to do that, at least with the one with the buttonhole. So I did that, and that came out okay. And then I ended up like putting the buttonholes in, and that all went in pretty okay. When I went to when I went to like open up the buttonholes, what did I do? But I totally went right through the buttonhole on the very top one. So I spent a lot of time basically hand sewing the top of the buttonhole so that it wouldn't just like fray out everywhere. So I ended up doing that. And then I started hand sewing buttons, but for some reason, I don't know, something was happening with my hand. I kept putting the button in the wrong spot. So then I was like, that's it. I'm using my machine. So I used my machine to put the buttonholes in, and I used like double-sided tape to adhere the buttons to exactly where they needed to be. And that was all fine and all, but then like the double-sided tape started getting caught on the actual button. So that's why you see a little bit of a wave. You can't really tell, but like I can. And I'm like, oh, that's the double-sided tape is just like holding it together, and I've been trying to get it off. So that was a whole problem. And then I got to the sleeves. Oh, the other part. And the button placket was not long enough at all to cover up or to like go to the end of the shirt. And the shirt it ends right at my waist. So I didn't want to like make it any shorter, because that just didn't make sense to me, like where it would have hit. So this hits me like right where I want it to hit, but the button placket did not go like down far enough. So that is something that I have to look into when I make it again. So I ended up extending the button placket down. Thank God this is a fabric that you cannot tell when you like patch things up, because it's very much a camouflagey top. So I ended up having to extend the button placket on this. And so that was a thing. And I used just a small like rolled hem foot to do like the tiniest baby hem at the bottom, and that ended up working fine. But I do have a foot like an attachment for my sewing machine, and I used that, which I'm not very comfortable with, but it ended up working okay. So I did that, and then I got to the sleeves, and let me tell you, after hours of constructing this top, and I'm saying hours, it's probably, I would say probably almost close to 20 hours I put into this blouse, into this 4-piece blouse. I don't know what, I'm kind of proud for making it through, because there were many times where I'm like, well, that's it, I'm not finishing this. And I almost just like didn't finish it. But I think it had to do with like the fabric and how like, when I put it on, I'm like, this looks really nice on me. So I think that was the thing that kept me going. It's like, this looks nice on me. So that's the thing that just kept me going, I guess. But basically the armholes were still way too small. And they wanted me to put the like the cuff piece on. And I'm like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to put my arm through this hole. Like like, there's no way that I could do it, but I knew myself. I'm like, I'm not going to want to wear this if something is tight around my arms. Like, this is already like a triggering thing for me to begin with like my whole like body image stuff, that I'm like, if I have something that is constantly reminding me that my arms are too large for like this shirt, when it shouldn't even, when I'm making my own clothes, this is why we make our own clothes, right? So that we can feel good in them. And I was like, I don't want to have that constant reminder of like, oh, your arms are too big for this top. Like, I didn't want that. So I made the decision. I'm like, well, you got to cut this fabric somewhere to make room. So I ended up cutting under this, like where you wouldn't be able to see it. And I cut like a rectangle basically out of the shirt to make it so that there was more room where the cuff could go. So I did end up doing that on both sides, and I gave myself an inch more room on both arms. And that ended up being totally perfect. But that ended up meaning that I had to redraft a cuff piece. So I had to work on that. And I don't think I sewed one seam on this entire blouse where I didn't have to unpick something. So with that being said, after like 20 hours for this 4-piece blouse top, I have it done. And I really do like it. And I do want to give the pattern another go. I have the pattern pieces right here on my table right now. And I'm going to make some pattern adjustments. And because like I said, I put it on and I feel really great in this top. And I didn't realize that I would feel that good in a top like that, in this style. Usually I go for the opposite, where I have a more fitted top and like looser style bottoms. But I was really into like the opposite, like the tighter pant and like the looser top. So I'm happy with the outcome, and I will wear this. And these are all my favorite colors. They all look really nice on me. The buttons are from an old shirt that I took off, like an old button-up shirt that I took off of one of Jordan's that no longer suited them. So I'm shocked that I have such a wearable piece. But that is it for my So Frugal makes. Let me know if you ended up participating in the So Frugal challenge. If you did, what did you make? Let me know. Also, if you haven't already, you can subscribe to this channel if you like this content. And if you're back and haven't subscribed yet, why not subscribe? It's free. I appreciate you all so much for being here and watching until the very end. Cheers to y'all, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.